Pigeon racing is a popular hobby and sport in many parts of the world, with enthusiasts breeding and training pigeons to compete in races over various distances. However, one key factor that can affect a pigeon's racing performance is its weight. If a pigeon is overweight, it may struggle to fly efficiently and keep up with lighter opponents. In this essay, I will explore the issues around pigeon weight in racing, analyzing whether pigeons can be too heavy to be competitive racers. To begin, it is important to understand what is considered a healthy weight range for racing pigeons. Experts advise that a racing pigeon should weigh between 400 to 550 grams, with the ideal racing weight being around 450 grams. Pigeons naturally vary in size and build, but a pigeon that is over 600 grams is usually considered overweight and at risk of poor race performance. The reason weight matters so much is simple physics. A heavier pigeon has to work harder to fly at speed. Pigeon flight relies on rapid wing beats to generate lift and thrust. The heavier the bird, the more effort and energy required with each flap of the wings. Additionally, excess weight causes drag, which slows the bird down. An overweight pigeon has to labor against both gravity and air resistance in a race, while a lighter pigeon can move through the air with greater ease and speed. This effect is amplified over longer races, with heavier pigeons struggling to maintain pace once their energy reserves are depleted. An experienced pigeon racer knows that every extra gram can count in a closely contested race. Shedding even 10 to 20 grams of excess weight can give a pigeon a competitive edge. However, being too light can also hamper racing ability. Very low body weight, under 400 grams, can be problematic, as the pigeon may lack the muscle mass and energy reserves required for sustained flight. Pigeon health and nutrition must be carefully managed to hit the optimum racing weight. Excess fat is the biggest concern, as this contributes useless weight without contributing power. However, very low body fat percentages can also be detrimental to performance. Maintaining pigeons at a healthy weight requires paying close attention to diet and exercise. Overfeeding pigeons rich grains and excessive treats can quickly lead to obesity. Conversely, crash dieting pigeons is ill-advised and unlikely to have the desired effect. The best approach is to design a balanced diet and regimented feeding schedule that keeps weight stable without deprivation. Increasing opportunities for flight exercise such as daily liberation also helps pigeons stay active and lean. There is certainly a genetic component to optimal pigeon racing weight and body type. Breeding from consistently fast, lightweight racers will ultimately produce offspring with similar traits. However, even pigeons bred for racing need weight management throughout their career. Monitoring weight frequently and making adjustments to diet and training is part of successful pigeon racing. In summary, it is clear that excess weight is detrimental to pigeon racing performance. An overweight pigeon is likely to struggle against headwinds, tire quicker, and be outpaced in competition against leaner rivals. Moderately overweight pigeons may still perform adequately in shorter races, but their handicap will prove more significant over hundreds of miles. Extreme obesity in a pigeon makes competitive racing almost impossible. However, with a structured weight loss program incorporating controlled food intake and expanded flight opportunities, many overweight pigeons can regain racing condition. The ideal racing weight balances speed with endurance, typically between 450 to 500 grams. With diligent management of diet and training, most pigeon breeds can maintain excellent race fitness within this weight range. While weight is not the only factor in pigeon racing success, keeping pigeons fit and flying as light as health permits will give them their best chance of flying to victory. Are your pigeons weighing down your race performance? There's a popular saying that becoming a master at feeding pigeons leads to mastery in racing them. While this statement may seem simplistic, the weight of your pigeons going into a race plays a crucial role. It's surprising to note that over 75% of pigeons shipped to races are actually carrying excess weight. Many fanciers prioritize preparing their pigeons for shows rather than races. There seems to be a misconception among most that pigeons should be plump and rounded. However, this belief is entirely flawed. Even for long-distance races, pigeons should be light, nimble, with well-toned muscles that lie almost flat. Are your racing pigeons too heavy? There's a saying that mastering the art of feeding pigeons leads to mastery in racing them. While oversimplified, the weight of the pigeons before a race is of utmost importance. It's safe to say that more than 75% of pigeons shipped to races are actually overweight. Many pigeon enthusiasts invest more effort into preparing their pigeons for shows rather than races. Most people mistakenly believe that pigeons should be plump and round. However, this is entirely incorrect. Even for long-distance races, pigeons should be light, buoyant, with well-toned muscles. In most cases, the way a pigeon performs at the end of the race is how it should have performed at the start, with just a small amount of fat to sustain its flight for several hours. When combined with exceptional health and condition, this slight layer of fat yields outstanding results. Can a fat pigeon win a race? Certainly, it can defeat other fat pigeons, but lean pigeons have a significant advantage. Many enthusiasts prefer to send their pigeons in a large and full state for long-distance races. However, properly prepared pigeons will consistently outperform these larger, full pigeons. By lean, I don't mean skinny. Let's discuss feeding practices. Pigeons that undergo heavy training require a richer diet to maintain the perfect body weight. On the other hand, efficiently trained and properly fed pigeons can achieve the same level of fitness with much less road work. For short races of 400 kilometers or less, pigeons don't need rich feed for more than 2 meals. For longer distances, 4 to 5 feedings of rich seeds are sufficient. Suppose you're shipping pigeons for a 700 kilometers race on Thursday with a liberation plan for Saturday. In that case, you can provide high-fat seeds, such as 1 feeding on Tuesday evening, 2 feedings on Wednesday, and 1 feeding on Thursday. But what constitutes the majority of the feed during the rest of the week? It's good quality barley. Utilizing barley allows you to save time on training and reduces fuel costs. Throughout most of the week, the pigeons should be fed 80% barley and around 20% racing mix. If you're racing on a Saturday for a race under 300 kilometers, you can offer the pigeons all the rich seeds and racing mix, with 16% protein, they desire on Thursday evening. On basket day, provide them with a half ration of feed, consisting of 50% barley and 50% rich fatty seeds. The most crucial day for feeding is 2 days before the liberation, not the day before. When the pigeons return from a race of 300 kilometers or less, they can enjoy all the rich oily seeds, like dehusked sunflower seeds, and racing mix, 16% protein, until dusk. The following day, they should be back to the 80% barley diet. After intense workouts, the first meal is vital, so let them eat. For long-distance races, pigeons can freely consume rich seeds and racing mix upon return, along with rich feed and racing mix on the day after. From the following day onward, it's back to 80% barley. By following this feeding regimen, your pigeons will never become round or excessively heavy after a strenuous workout. If your pigeons do end up bloated and feel like lead balloons a few days after a race, your feeding system has missed the mark. My pigeons never suffer from such issues because I avoid overtraining. Are there many approaches to feeding? Absolutely. However, I prefer to keep it simple. By using high-quality barley, you can maintain lightweight, well-conditioned pigeons without excessive road work. Regular loft flying or moderate road exercises are sufficient to keep a properly fed pigeon in excellent shape. Speaking of loft flying, you won't believe how effectively pigeons exercise on the 80% barley mix. If there's one thing you take away from this advice, remember that you probably send your pigeons to races carrying too much weight. Pigeons for long-distance races shouldn't be plump and round. They aren't migrating south for the winter, they're flying for 12 to 14 hours. Pigeons participating in races lasting less than 6 hours should be as light as a feather, buoyant, with muscles lying flat rather than full. Even in headwind races, a lean and buoyant pigeon has a significant advantage. Consider adopting this feeding method for your older birds and witness a remarkable improvement in body weight and condition. In most cases, the way a pigeon performs at the end of the race reflects how it should have performed right from the start. A pigeon carrying just a small amount of fat can fly for several hours. Combine this minimal fat with excellent health and condition, and you'll witness remarkable results. Can a fat pigeon win a race? Well, a fat pigeon may outperform other fat pigeons, but it's the lean pigeons that have a significant advantage. Many enthusiasts tend to send their pigeons off to long-distance races in a large and fully fed state. However, consistently, it's the properly prepared pigeons that surpass these larger, full pigeons. By lean, I don't mean undernourished. Let's delve into the topic of feeding. Pigeons that undergo intensive training require a more nourishing diet to maintain an ideal body weight. On the other hand, pigeons that are trained efficiently and receive proper nutrition can achieve the same level of fitness with considerably less road work. For short races covering distances of 400 kilometers or less, pigeons don't need a diet rich in nutrients for more than 2 feedings. However, for long-distance races, providing them with 4 to 5 feedings of high-fat seeds is adequate. Suppose you're preparing to ship pigeons for a 700 kilometers race, with the liberation scheduled for Saturday and the shipping day on Thursday. In that case, you can incorporate high-fat seeds into their diet. For instance, provide 1 feeding of high-fat seeds on Tuesday evening, followed by 2 feedings on Wednesday, and finally, 1 feeding on Thursday. Now, you may be wondering about the rest of the week's feeding routine. It primarily consists of good quality barley. Incorporating barley into their diet not only saves you training time but also reduces fuel costs. Throughout most of the week, feed the pigeons a mixture of 80% barley and approximately 20% racing mix. If you're racing on a Saturday and the distance is under 300 kilometers, on Thursday evening, offer your pigeons all the rich seeds and racing mix they desire. On basket day, provide them with a half ration of feed, consisting of 50% barley and 50% rich fatty seeds. 2 days before liberation is the most critical day for feeding, rather than the day before. When the pigeons return from a race covering 300 kilometers or less, allow them to indulge in rich oily seeds, such as dehusked sunflower seeds, and racing mix until dusk. The following day, switch them back to an 80% barley diet. After intense workouts, the first meal is crucial, so let them eat. As for long-distance races, upon return, pigeons are free to consume rich seeds and racing mix as much as they desire. The day after, they can continue enjoying rich feed and racing mix. However, starting from the subsequent day, revert to the 80% barley diet. By adhering to this feeding strategy, your pigeons will never become excessively rounded or heavy after rigorous training sessions. If you notice your pigeons becoming bloated and feeling like lead balloons a few days after a race, it's a clear indication that your feeding system has missed the mark. In contrast, my pigeons never experience such issues because I avoid overtraining and maintain a well-balanced diet. Are there numerous approaches to feeding pigeons? Certainly. However, I prefer to keep it simple. By utilizing high-quality barley, you can ensure that your pigeons maintain a healthy weight and excellent condition without relying solely on excessive road work. Regular loft flying or moderate road exercises are sufficient to keep a properly nourished pigeon in great shape. Speaking of loft flying, you'll be amazed at how effectively pigeons exercise when fed an 80% barley mixture. If there's one key takeaway from this advice, it's that you may be sending your pigeons to races carrying unnecessary weight. Pigeons participating in long-distance races shouldn't be full and round. They aren't migrating south for the winter, instead, they're flying for 12 to 14 hours. Pigeons racing for durations of less than 6 hours should be light as a feather, buoyant, with muscles lying flat rather than being fully rounded. Even in races with headwinds, a lean and buoyant pigeon holds a significant advantage. Consider adopting this feeding method for your older birds, and you'll witness improved body weight and condition like never before. There are many reasons to buy my racing pigeon method. Here are some of the best reasons. You will get excellent results. It's a very simple system to use. It's affordable. I have had over 400 first prize winners. It's adaptable to any situation. You can use it with any racing method, natural, widowhood, young birds. It's a very effective method. There is no need to spend a lot of money on fancy pigeon products. It's a reliable system and it is foolproof to use. Professional athletes, race horses, take the same products. There is science behind this, not just hearsay. It is all to do with red blood cells and oxygen in the blood. Without that, a pigeon will not race well, or an athlete will not win a race. If he has low oxygen in his blood, the above is fact and is 100% science. There are a few things you can do to improve your chances of winning at racing pigeons. One of the most important things is to learn as much as you can about the sport. You'll need to know the different types of pigeons, how to train them, and how to race them. Another key factor is practice. You'll need to be able to fly your pigeons competently in order to win races. And, of course, you'll need to have the funds to invest in racing pigeons and other racing equipment.